Okay. I know he doesn't need an introduction, but Pastor Brooks and I have one thing in common. This is the reason we came today. Please welcome Propaganda.
I'm not delusional. This most likely is your first experience with me. Greetings. My name is Propaganda. I wrote my first rap in '93. Simply put, fire-baptized battle rapper who's heavily influenced by folk music and found creative freedom in poetry. Combo is strange, I know, but let this one bake your noodle. I'm the son of a Black Panther with a Mexican spouse and Caucasian best friends. And my writing tone, well now, is not one that offers you a neat little bow to tie all your little problems up with. I know enough to know that I don't know that much. I know God became a man to save us, and we still can't explain pyramids. I know ancient Mayan and Egyptian astronomers had a far greater understanding of outer space than we do. I know academia is so drunk on arrogance and racism that they'd rather credit these accomplishments to aliens than to admit that we are not the smartest civilization to ever live. I know I really love my wife, my daughter, and mangoes. And for some reason, folks find it illogical to think that a perfectly designed universe screams of a designer. I know sarcasm is really the only time most people tell the truth. I know chilaquiles and In-N-Out will be served in heaven. I know it's a much better decision to shut your mouth if you don't know what you're talking about than to validate what everybody already thinks of you. I know color theory very well. I have a degree in illustration and intercultural studies and a teaching credential, yet I rap for a living. Let that sink in. Apparently, I don't know that much. Just the gospel and good hip hop. Pretty simple dude, all I got is my all, and I promise to give you that. You know, lower standards, that'll lower the culture. You know, the Roman Empire was destroyed by lower standards and moral decay. You know, they fed their own to lions for entertainment. Humans were left to their own devices, seem to be hopelessly selfish and bent on their own destruction. It seems unless a force greater than us intervenes, nothing will stop that trajectory. Wealth, knowledge, success seems to only feed the beast. But don't listen to me. We just met. What do I know? What do I know? Feel no obligation to clap right there, but I appreciate it. Like I said, again, my name is actually Jason. I grew up in a pretty much an all Hispanic neighborhood. ¿Hablas español, anybody? ¿Dónde está mi gente? All right. You guys are kind of quiet, but that's all good. You've had your thinking caps on. But anyway, I grew up in a predominantly Latino neighborhood. So even though I was in Los Angeles, you know, a very gang-infested area, gangbanging wasn't really an option for me because I lived in a Mexican neighborhood. So I would be what's called a liability. Ask the grown-ups what that means, right? Meaning I would get everybody in trouble because I'd be the easiest dude to spot in the crowd. They'd be like, that guy did it right there. It's because I'm black. That's the joke. It's because I'm black. Anyway, so I grew up in that type of environment. My father, I've mentioned my father a couple times. He was around, kind of. I don't know if some of you have that kind of story where he was there, but he was kind of not there. You know, I can't really say that I grew up necessarily in a Christian home. My parents became Christians when I was in elementary school, so our home definitely changed. But my father was about that life. So there was a lot of other stuff happening in our home that I didn't realize what was going on until I was an adult. I don't know if you've experienced that yet. And if you think back to your childhood where you're like, oh, that's what was happening. Anyway, so that was kind of my story. But in that, I developed a certain type of backbone when you in this neighborhood where you stick out like a sore thumb already, and you're not part of a particular gang, man. It develops a different type of backbone in the sense that like you got to find your identity in something else. I fell in love with graffiti real young, and I think that part of me being in that neighborhood is what kind of drove me to hip hop, because I had to find something else to kind of put my time in, because I couldn't participate necessarily in the world that was going on. Both my parents were educated, so I spoke very clearly. So according to the brothers, I sounded white. You know what I mean? According to the Latinos, I'm not going to say what they used to call me because some of y'all speak Spanish. But the reality is it developed a certain backbone in the sense that I had to know what I believed and know what my purpose was and find identity in other areas, right? And in one of those was when the Lord saved me around junior high. I was aware of the gospel, but I think around junior high was when the Lord saved me. And it was kind of like, I'm in this church, again, it's predominantly Latino. It's a lot of like ex-gang members who are now like loving husbands and fathers who have given their life to Christ, but if you've ever seen images of Los Angeles, like it's true, like just, tattoos from here down, you know what I mean? Like, and, but brothers just broken and just want to serve their family, want to serve their community. So you watching this, but their kids all still like bang, right? So all their kids are still like involved in a lot of these things. So I'm in a church with these guys, right? And I remember hearing the gospel and being very convicted, but at the same time watching like my friends not be. You know what I'm saying? And it was a very, very peculiar thing, right? Also, my mother had a decent job, so she was able to ship us to a different school in another neighborhood. So I went to school with a lot of affluent Caucasian people. So I really learned to speak a lot of different cultural codes because I was raised in a very multicultural environment. But either way, there was no like particular zone that I felt like I fit into except for hip hop, right? Until the gospel came. And once the gospel came, I understood that like we've been saying before, that we're all fearfully and wonderfully made, that we're image bearers. And as someone who loved art first, right, the idea of looking at the human as a masterpiece, right, and each color being on purpose, each ingredient, everything it's on purpose. Once I understood that, the idea of racism was not only wrong, but it was foolish, right? In the sense that's a work of art, you know what I'm saying? And as a work of art, I should appreciate art for what it is, right? And allow it to be, and he give you another example. Like if you judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree, the fish is gonna fail. Does that make sense to you? Are you sure? Right? So you don't judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree. So it's the same with my relations with culture, is that I appreciate it for what it is, right? And that's, to me, that's the definition of not being colorblind, right? Is enjoying the diversities that's been given to us for what they are. But anyway, all that, growing up in this type of neighborhood, growing up in this type of environment, gave me a particular backbone to be able to understand that once the gospel came, and knowing that I'm going to stick out again, right? And I'm going to have to make stances that are very uncomfortable. Fear wasn't an option for me because I've been chased home my whole life. You know what I'm saying? I've been picked on my whole life. So the idea of standing for the one truth that actually will transcend time was like, it's a no-brainer. I'm ready to go, right? So going into college, and this would be my last encouragement with you guys, going into college, especially as an ethnic studies major, you take a lot of anthropology classes, a lot of biology classes, and a lot of religion classes, where you feel as though a lot of times as a believer you're the butt of every joke, right? And that everybody has a right to exist except for us. You know what I'm saying? But understanding that I can sit in these classes and even enjoy what I'm being taught, right? And allow that to happen, right? But it don't necessarily have to shake me. I don't have to be angry because I'm firmly rooted in what I know is true, right? So when I step into college, I'm not intimidated by any professor. I know he might be smarter than me, right? But he don't know more than me. Does that make sense? They may be smarter than you, but they don't know more than you, right? I think the best example to me, and this is why I would encourage for all of you guys to be, is think of Daniel, right, in pre-Lion's Den. Think of Daniel in Babylon, in a godless culture with a godless king and a crazy kingdom, right? And was made to go to this crazy school to learn about these crazy gods, right? And Daniel at no point excused himself from it. He's like, no, I'll stay. I'll be here. I'll do what I have to do. I'm just not taking the blue pill. Matrix, anyone? Matrix, blue pill. Anyway, he's like, I'm not taking the blue pill. It's all good. I'll learn everything you need to learn. Matter of fact, I'm going to succeed better than the rest of the people you got, right? That's why I love the book of Daniel, because that's kind of his example. He's like, okay, tell you what, I'm not going to eat from your table, but I'm going to outperform everybody you got. Okay? Deal? Right? And that's exactly what he did. God gave him a job working for a godless king, right? And succeeded him, right? To the point to where if you finish the book of Daniel, man, Nebuchadnezzar made a statement of faith that his presence in this godly world, in this godless world, was an example of God's righteousness and ultimately led to a saved soul. So I encourage you, hey, don't be afraid of the culture. Go in, get your fingers dirty. You know what you believe. You stand on a firm foundation and conquer. Y'all feel me? But not literally, because I'm way up here. All right, you guys got it? I'm going to leave you with this poem. So I was recently told that I was too creative. How'd they say it? That I wasn't Christ-centered enough. And the peeps we trying to reach wouldn't understand your speech. I told them it's cool. It's not an issue. I ain't so judgmental. Thanks for your advice. I'm just not afraid of heights. Like Christ wasn't afraid to mix spit with mud. As if he couldn't fix vision with one word, I'm sorry. I get my creativity from my Father. Have you ever been to the aquarium? Google the coral reef for Pete's sake. Thanks for your advice. I just lost my fear. Like I'm not afraid of a blank canvas. I ain't afraid to be the canvas. I've been marred in the potter's hands and God don't use erasers. Off on purpose. But what keeps you up at night? Are you afraid of midterms or curfews or grown-ups? Are you afraid of budget meetings or the board of directors? Thanks for your advice. I just lost my fear of gravity. Since His Majesty came and grabbed me, I've often wondered, how loud does an alarm clock need to be to wake a dead man? Maybe you're right. I am too creative. See, I'm afraid of being wrong. But if I am, tell me. I ain't afraid of correction. Humbly embrace lessons. Just like you shouldn't be afraid of, I don't know, city permits. And submit to the process. Because there's not one city permit that can stop what Elohim permits. I'm so comfortable with sovereignty. I'm so done wasting words, and I'm so tired of lying to my Father in the mirror. See, that's where I get my courage from, my spine. It ain't naturally stainless steel. But you can have freely what I've learned from failing miserably. And I guess the statement shook me because honestly, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of wasting time. But you can bet your good graces, I ain't afraid of their faces. Hearts of men wax cold. Out your mind sold. It's the guts to say no, then nosedive. Follow commandments that don't make sense. God says, learn to walk worthy. And if you understood the cross, you'd see that command was such a paradox. Man, I think I understand now. Between heresies and Pharisees, between schemes to get rich and work to attain wealth. See, this is why I graciously smile. Because truthfully, they scared. Scared like most of us are. That you're wasting another weekend and spent a couple $100 to do the same thing you've been doing. You scared like I am. That your ideas and dreams and plans, they're not original. That you are just like your parents. That you are okay with mediocre. Your grades, they mediocre. And the best you've ever been and ever will be is so-so. Homie, this ain't a movie. You might go bankrupt and fail like the rest of us. You scared like I am. I've grown irrelevant. Like, is this really happening? Am I still rapping? Still doing the same thing I was doing when I was 15? You scared. Parents are scared too. Maybe that they give because, I don't know, it's a tax write-off. Ask them. Or to Africa to prove you ain't racist. Hey, when's the last time you gave a gardener a cup of water? I don't even know our groundskeeper's name, and that vato is a name tag. Scared that your chairs and your lives are way too comfortable, and the cost of your little phones could have fed an entire country. Don't even bother you do it. You're scared that you're born eagles and you're walking among chickens, as if these agitated shoulder blades ain't never sprouted wings. I was recently told I was too creative. Shook me to this core, because I got no excuse for fear. I should be roller skating around Saturn, looking down at satellites, flying. And if you mustered up the bravery, you'd get this one day. See, I fooled you. This ain't a poem. This right here is a runway. Why you ain't flying? Why you ain't flying? Thanks, guys.
Ooh.